J.R.R. Tolkien was a very talented writer and had a remarkable imagination, which is clearly depicted in his books. All his books are pure masterpieces. His most famous books are The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Tolkien studied English languages and literature in Oxford, and he had great interest in languages, so he created his own.
John Ronald Reuel Tolkien was born in Bloemfontein in South Africa, January 3rd, 1892. His parents were of English origin, and when Tolkien was 4 years old, he and his family moved to England. Soon after they got to England, his father died, and when Tolkien was 12, his mother also passed away. The Catholic Church took the brothers in and raised them. The brothers both got into King Edward's School in Birmingham, which has brought up many talented and famous writers. There he became very interested in history, Anglo-Saxon, and English. At this time he started to use his knowledge in languages by making his own, with the proper grammar and history. Tolkien became good friends with 3 students, and together they formed a secret society called the Tea Club or Barovian Society. Their friendship held until Tolkien graduated and went to Oxford 1911 to study grammar and literature. Soon after he joined Oxford, World War I broke out, and Tolkien went to fight for his country in France. Tolkien mostly fought in trenches, and when nothing was going on, he used to write down in a little notebook. There, he wrote down many notes which would later end up as a whole-shaped literature piece, for example, the Silmarillion and the story of Middle-earth. After the war, Tolkien went back to finish Oxford in 1915. A year after, he married a girl named Edith, whom he had known from his childhood. They had 4 kids together. The eldest one, Christopher, later would finish the Silmarillion, the tale Tolkien started working on in the trenches.
In 1920, Tolkien was appointed as a lecturer on English language by the University of Leeds. He was very popular amongst students in Leeds due to his good teaching skills. He stayed in Leeds for 5 years, then he went back to Oxford, but as a teacher this time. In Oxford, he worked as a professor in Anglo-Saxon. Tolkien was amongst other in a club called Kolbites or Kolbitarnir, which focused on the Icelandic Norse sagas.
In 1937, a novel came out called The Hobbit. Rumor has it that the story about Bilbo the Hobbit began when Tolkien was reviewing boring tests. One student had turned in a blank paper. Tolkien took the paper and wrote on it the following: "In a hole in the ground lived a hobbit." That is said to be the beginning of it all.
Later, the publisher, Stanley Unwin, made his son read Tolkien's book, The Hobbit, and told him that if the boy liked the book, it would be published. Stanley believed that it might be a good fairy tale, and so it was. The boy loved the book, and it was published in 1937. Soon, Tolkien's fans started sending Stanley some letters, asking to hear more about The Hobbit. After that, Stanley started to encourage Tolkien to write more about the little hobbit. Soon after that, Tolkien started to write the trilogy that would later be known as The Lord of the Rings. In the prologue in the first book, Tolkien wrote, "I only did this for myself, and I did not expect others to like this piece of work." When Tolkien gave the book to the publishers, they did not like it. They had hoped for a fairy tale for kids and thought that this story would not be a good seller. But they have most certainly been proved wrong, because recently Lord of the Rings was chosen the book of the century. The first book in the Lord of the Rings series was published by Allen and Unwin. It took Tolkien 12 years to finish this masterpiece, which turned out to be the second most read book in the 20th century, with the Bible placing first.
In 2001, a director called Peter Jackson made a movie from Tolkien's first book, Lord of the Rings book, The Fellowship of the Ring, mostly filmed in his home country, New Zealand. Later that year, the movie was nominated for 13 Oscar awards, but only won 4 of them. In 2002, The Two Towers were nominated for 6 Oscar awards, but only won 2 of them. But in 2003, The Return of the King was nominated for 11 Oscar awards and won all of them, including Best Movie and Director.
Tolkien's wife died in 1971, and Tolkien died after being sick for a while, 2nd September 1973, 81 years old. Tolkien left a huge amount of stories that were supposed to take place long before Lord of the Rings series, a total of 60,000 pages. He really loved and respected the nature and all life on this planet.
I'd like to thank you all, my friends, for coming here today. It's a testament to our friendship and I'd really love to stay. But now at last the time is near, the sun is fading low. I hope to see you soon again, but now it's time to go. Now it's time to go. Now it's time to go. I hope to see you soon, my friends, but now it's time to go. Dear Baggins and Boffins, Chubs and Grubs, Burrowses and Tokes, Bracecutters, Bolgers, Good Buddies, Hornblowers, Brockhouses and Topfoots. A humble thanks to those I miss, my intent is not to do so. For your friendship is a blessed thing, but now it's time to go. Now it's time to go.